There you are. Okay, hi, go ahead.
Yes, wherever I am, it's great to be here. And can I just say that I agree completely with the White House's, like, they're trying to keep a lid on it, but there was a report that they were literally giddy about the idea that these idiots are going to be on these committees because they will do nothing but embarrass the 90% of the Republican Party that let them get away with it. Chip Roy, of all people, from this podunk district in Texas, 100% red, basically. He's been everywhere. He's getting more FaceTime than Marge is at this point. And you know how fantastic that is for Democrats?
Well, I, first of all, was shocked to know it is not a putt-putt outside of Amarillo.
Chip Roy?
Yeah.
Okay.
No?
No.
Okay. I thought it was a combination of Roy Rogers and putt-putt.
It's a giant cookie, and if you can finish it, your meal is free.
I was talking about earlier how dumb this tax plan is for them, and you tweeted.
Oh, God,
you
so
said
good.
The House GOP and Speaker McCarthy know a 30% sales tax would devastate the middle class. They know, and they don't care. They blame middle-income, well-educated people for them losing the White House and the Senate. Mm-hmm. But it's just dumb. Yeah.
It's insane. It's ridiculous. And again, all this is their promise to vote on a bill that will fail. So ultimately, this materially means nothing. But the fact that they decided to force him to do this, all this wailing and gnashing of teeth, this 4 days of holding his feet to the fire and every torture, analogy you can give, was just so that they can vote on bills that everyone actually hates. But these 8 or 10 of them, because they're in very red districts, can print ads for themselves railing against the IRS or the existence of the income tax or even the existence of the Department of Defense when it supports things like Ukraine, not knowing that this is actually going to be used, if not by Democrats in their district, sane Republicans as this cycle is coming around, because they have built their house out of matchsticks and they are chucking lighters at it. It is the weirdest and stupidest thing.
Yeah, and you broke it down as you do, so we can.
Yes,
he's the explainer-in-chief guy. House GOP wants to replace the income tax with a 30% tax on, wait for it, everything you buy, not in phases over time, not for specialty items like yachts or dildos with a Kickstarter. No, everything. Immediately.
Yes.
And I'm like, wait, they come with Kickstarter.
Okay. Well, yeah. I consider that a specialty item, since you have to register them in the Bahamas just like a yacht.
Right.
But that's my theory. In all honesty, this is an attack on the middle class. The super rich can buy their big items and park them in the Bahamas and register their planes and their boats elsewhere. They can buy their houses through LLCs. They can have stuff shipped in, like their televisions and whatnot, overseas, avoiding, like the import tax on them will go away effectively by their plan. So they won't have to pay on that. Whereas middle class people who buy things at stores and go out and do stuff and have the most money to spend, who, by the way, keep the entire economy afloat. And the Biden administration's whole goal is widening the middle class out as big as you can possibly get it and it's working. For the record, look at the numbers. It's working, and they want to decimate it. This is about shivving the tires of the middle class. Well, that's what it's for.
And they've also continued their historical precedent of naming something exactly the opposite of what it is. They're calling it the Fair Tax Act.
Sure,
you remember Friendly Forests and Clear Skies Acts?
Oh, yeah.
If they come up with a Keep Puppies Safe Act, you'll know it's,
Yes, by the way, the Inflation Reduction Act is helping, if you haven't noticed, to reduce inflation. And they're mad about that name because they think it's an ironic, against type name. So they're like, this is what we'll call it this. But the funny thing is they genuinely think it's a fair tax. It's like a state fair tax. Yeah. It's like the more elephant ears you need to survive, the more you're going to end up on the tilt-a-whirl. I'll figure that analogy out later. But the important thing is...
You and our other Stephanie Miller Cinematic Universe superhero AG from Mueller, She Wrote, tagged up on Twitter. She said, breaking, Trump was unable to declassify a large chunk of documents. No wonder he didn't make that argument in court. And you said, hence the empty folder defense. Honestly, I think we're all shocked Trump hasn't hired Santos yet. I mean, the dude won super lawyer of the decade like 5 times.
Yes, I think he's been taking those documents out. Some of the stuff he wanted time to copy. Other stuff he's just keeping the originals and pretending it was just the folders. And that whole I just like the folders because they look cool. I don't. Yeah. By the way, I don't doubt that for a second that he kept some of them like an idiot. But I also know that he would keep things. This is a warning to anybody who loaned him money or invested in anything that he does. You're an idiot, so you're not going to listen to me. But I guarantee he took pages of the phone book or just printouts of articles, stuck them in those top secret folders, and laid them on his desk when fancy schmancies came in to meet him in his office at Mar-a-Lago. So they're like, oh my God, he's still got access to things. That would help if you're a real estate investor or perhaps are helping the Chinese steal tech from the United States. And that's what he used. That was his motivating factor for it.
Was that an appearance by Karen LeCaren just then?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Is Tucker still promoting the
ball tanning?
Rectal tanning? Oh, it's ball tanning.
Ball tanning.
Oh, yeah, because I know you've spent a lot of time.
Rectal tanning is a good. Yeah, but ball tanning. And I don't know if you've noticed this, Steph, and you're mostly our gauge, but he has gotten so much more manly.
Yes.
In the last month, it's incredible.
Well, you said you've been watching the Ben Shapiro. Who's the other one that gave you a tutorial in manliness?
Nick Fuentes.
Nick Fuentes. Yeah.
Yeah, Nick Fuentes, who is shrinking, I think, actually. That's the odd part about him.
But you said you gained 12 pounds and lost an inch off your penis since you've been watching.
I was doing their manhood. Yeah, but I will say my testicles look like George Hamilton if he as an afternoon chocolate. You know what I mean? Like those ones you get, the round ones where they're full of...
Yeah. Couple of 8 balls down there. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. They're all dried up like boba if you don't add them to a drink. It's that whole movement I find hilarious and yet desperately real. And you know where it came from? They're all chasing the Jordan Peterson dollar. Everybody from Andrew Tate on and stuff. Jordan Peterson was at one point at the peak making like $250,000 a month on Patreon alone, not book sales, not that stuff. And it was all because all the incels were kind of clamoring to have him re-dad them because their dads didn't do anything and they didn't know they didn't know how to clean their room. And so everybody else jumped on this bandwagon. And Tucker is so late to the game that all the good stuff's been taken. So he's left with ball tanning and I don't know, switching from bow tie to a long tie. I don't know. Is that it?
Yes. I just saw that clip of Nick Fuentes again talking about Putin. Yeah, can we hear it for Putin at that whatever conference that was? And you just said Putin keeps talking about the need for a new world order. Somehow when he says it, all the QAnons and info warriors like Glenn Beck and Marjorie Taylor Greene clap like harbor seals. I will never understand this Putin love on the right, from Reagan's party, right?
I will. I'll tell you exactly what it is. It is a single note. You know, we have our single issue voters. These folks have a single note that Putin just slams his finger down on the piano and it's anti-gay. The whole thing that they can't have gay pride parades and you can't teach anything about LGBT in schools. Look at the laws they're trying to put in place in all these states and understand that they're like, oh my God, can you imagine? And their main, the Pope of the Orthodox Russian Church is a warmonger, smite them all Old Testament stuff. So that those two things alone are enough.
Like I had maintained that if it were a female cousin that Madison Cawthorn was face humping, that he would have survived in Congress because the right got rid of him, right? So I don't know if the drag queen thing is the thing that's finally, going to get George Santos.
I think that is the final thing. That's the one thing that's really started moving the ball in the last little bit. What do you think they're going to kick him out for lying about his resume or being, quite frankly, financed by the Russians? We know that, and the Italian mob. For God's sake, do you think they care about that? Of course they don't. They consider it a plus. But this, at some point. If there are any Proud Boys that aren't in jail for January 6th at the end of this, some of them are going to have to protest one of his speeches. Just to keep on brand.
Yes, Travis.
No, I was going to say, George Santos is amazing the way he performed at Club Babylon.
Right. Okay.
Ouch. And by the way, he was performing
joke.
Under the name Anthony DeVolder at that time.
Yeah.
And of course he was America's first Canadian truly Ghanese drag queen. It was an amazing outfit, and he did the whole thing facing backwards with a mask on the back of his head. And I thought it was the most like true to form drag show I'd ever seen him in.